Hi and welcome to another Watch Geek video. Today I'll be doing a review of a Citizen Signature Grand Touring Sport, which has been lent to me by a very generous forum member at Portal Satova, so thank you Mickey. This watch is part of the Citizen Signature line, which is considered to be a mid-tier line of Citizen placed between their regular offering and the high-end Campagnola and NB Citizen watches. It was released in 2014 and was a bit of a reboot of the line, as Signature line used to be all quartz and not very successful, so Citizen made a mechanical version. This was also one of the models that introduced the 9012 movement, which will become the Miyota 9015 for third-party companies, that is now found in many micro brands as an ETA alternative. The watch came out in two color combinations, including this, which is blue with orange accents, and black with rose gold parts. Now this is the one I find the most striking and the one I would go for. At the moment of release, it was priced at about $1,150, which many consider too high for a Citizen, but if you look at what this watch has to offer, I think the price is more than okay. When it comes to the specs, this watch is very large and wears large. It is 44 mm in diameter with a relatively reasonable lug-to-lug of 51 mm, or if you include the T-shaped end links, it goes up to 55. The thickness is 14 mm and the weight is a pretty bulky 200 grams, sized for my 6.9-inch wrist, meaning that with the full bracelet, I believe it will go up to 250. The problem with the size is that the watch actually wears larger than the size would suggest, mostly thanks to the huge crown guard in the style of Panerai. So the watch really has a lot of wrist presence. So for my 6.9-inch wrist and my taste, as you might expect, it's way too large. But on any wrist over 7 inches, it would look great. The bracelet on this is just in a different league compared to what I usually review. Massive with all the right ingredients, solid links, solid end links, and a machined clasp. And it's also beautifully finished with the combination of brushed and polished surfaces. Although I always like to say how there are different tiers of bracelets and clasps based on the way they are constructed, meaning machined versus stamped or folded, there are actually differences within the same tier, so a tier inside a tier if you like. This one is one of the nicest in that upper tier that I handled. It even uses screws to hold the links together, unlike the more common friction pins, which is considered a sign of premium build quality by watch people, although I personally prefer good quality friction pins, as I've seen way too many loose screws that end up being glued with thread lockers. They do, however, give a feeling of sturdiness. The clasp is a work of art, and just as beautifully finished as the bracelet. Everything operates smoothly and is nice to the touch. It does lack a safety latch, and it has no diver's extension, which is weird for what looks like a diver's watch. The case is a modern interpretation of a cushion case and is a real stunner with its combination of polished and brushed surfaces. I actually like the fact Citizen took their own stab at this legendary shape instead of taking the easy road by just copying proven designs. As the price would suggest, the finish is incredible with clear and sharp transitions between different finishes and surfaces. The bezel has 60 clicks, and although I prefer 120 click ones, even 60 clicks when done right, which this one most definitely is, can feel amazing. The resistance is just right, with clear precise clicks into position with almost no play, and everything lines up perfectly. The insert is anodized in beautiful blue colored aluminium, and I really like this inner polished ring, which reminds me a lot of the Omega Planet Ocean bezel. The crystal is sapphire as you would expect at this price range, has a slight curve to it, and has anti-reflective coating on both sides. Although that is considered as the highest level when it comes to crystals, and offers a reflection-free look of the dial, I'm not a fan of double-sided AR coatings. In fact, I consider them to be one of the dumbest decisions in watchmaking history. To me, it seems like there was a race where nobody had AR, and then someone came up with AR which made everyone do it. Then someone decided to do a double AR just so they can say they have more, which should mean better, and soon many followed despite that being wrong, at least in my opinion. The reason behind my hate for double-sided AR is the fact that you just paid a premium to get a virtually scratch-proof crystal that has just been painted over with easily scratchable coating. So you pretty much just canceled the best advantage sapphire has over mineral and acrylic crystals. Now it's true that your crystal is not the one that's going to get scratched, it's the coating, but the result is the same. Your crystal will look scratched up. Now I understand I might be in minority here, but a sapphire should come with only inner AR or no AR at all, like what Rolex does. And yes, I know AR coating can be reapplied, but that is just unnecessary cost added to the overall service cost that could have been avoided in the first place. The dial is simply mesmerizing to look at, and I'm afraid I'm unable to catch the full beauty on video. It really plays with the light as you get this radial effect of gradient shades of blue from the center outwards, and then in some light you get a sunburst effect as well. All these effects are very subtle and elegant, which makes me think this dial background would look incredible on a dress watch. The dial is also a modern take on a sandwich dial, but with added applied indices, so in a way it's a combination of both. The Citizen logo is applied to match the markers, which are very complex and also have a combination of surfaces and finishes in the spirit of the case. Beside the Citizen logo, the rest of the text is kept to a minimum, something I always like. The hands are an original design and go well with the dial, especially the orange minute hand that looks great in combination with the orange background for the first 15-minute markers. These minute markers are not the only sandwich part of the dial, but the date cutout is also part of this structure, which adds to the overall feeling of depth and multi-layering of the dial. It just makes it look cool in a modern industrial way. Although I like the dial a lot, it's not without sin. Now that sin is the chapter ring. Why does it have minute markers if there are already ones on the dial? It's pointless and reminds me of modded Seiko SKXs, where people leave the stock chapter ring with markers and then use a dial from a Seiko 5 or some other model that also has minute markers, making it just too much. They should have made it either or, not both. Now in case of this, I would keep the sandwich markers, as they look more interesting, plus the ones on the chapter ring are too far away from the hands. The Lume is great, as you would expect from a Citizen watch with 300-meter water resistance, and lasts a long time, making it easily readable in all conditions. Now don't get me wrong, it's not the best Lume out there, but it's more than adequate. Now the fact that Citizen went for the green and not their usual blue means they were going after functionality, as their blue Lume is slightly weaker. The crown is massive and protected by an even bigger crown guard that adds to the overall look of the watch, but unfortunately also adds to the size of the watch, forcing you to wear it a little higher on your wrist. Surprisingly, it doesn't make operating the crown any more difficult despite being huge. The crown itself is very smooth and screws in precisely with almost no feel of possible cross-threading. In the closed position, it's used to wind the movement, while pulling it to the first click allows you to change the date. Pulling it all the way stops the movement so you can set the time. Now flipping the watch over reveals an exhibition caseback and allows a clear view of the 9012 movement that actually has some nice decoration on the bridges as well as the winding weight. Now although I'm a fan of exhibition casebacks, especially when the movement is as good looking as this one, on this watch, because of the size of the case, it kind of looks off because it reveals how much bigger the watch is compared to the movement. Now if they went with a solid caseback, despite still knowing the movement is in a way too small, that fact would be hidden away from us and not as obvious. The movement itself is great, and like I said, Citizen's in-house version of the Miyota 9015. It has 24 jewels, beats at 28,800 beats per hour, which gives the seconds hand a nice smooth look, has both hacking and hand winding, and a power reserve of more than 42 hours. The winding is one-directional, which makes the rotor spin quite vigorously. The already mentioned decoration gives the movement the looks to match the performance. And the rated accuracy is -10 to +30 seconds a day, but from many posts I read from owners of these watches, one can expect a lot better results. Now to conclude, I have to admit I like Citizen's efforts on making a nicer mid-tier mechanical sports watch that on paper pretty much eats the competition for breakfast at this price range. It's an original take on the classic watch shape, and I wish Citizen keeps adding more models to their signature collection. Now objectively, this watch punches way above its price range and is impressive in every way possible. The design, the execution, the quality, it's all there. When it comes to a more subjective opinion, I would make certain changes to make it more suitable for me. Now these changes will be a size decrease to about 40 to 41 millimeters. The crown and crown guard would have to be moved to the 9 o'clock position. The chapter ring would be replaced by a brushed stainless steel ring, and the outer AR would have to be removed from the crystal. With that version of the watch in my mind, I would like to thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, please like and subscribe by pressing this button right here. And until the next video, bye.